And we are also already live on Workplace. So hi to you guys in EXP Family Tree. Thank you guys for joining us there. I told you this morning, or I think it was last night when I posted, you didn't want to miss today because we have the Mitch Ribak here, and he is going to talk to us about outside of the box creative lead generation. And I mean, I think we all need to think differently today than we needed to think earlier in this year and even last year. And quite frankly, we should always be thinking outside of the box. And Mitch comes with obviously a lot of years of experience being a successful real estate entrepreneur and leader. And I think he has a few things from over the years that he's learned that he can share with us today. We want you guys to be interactive. I know not everybody can be on camera. I'm going to be jumping on camera here in a second. If you can, that would be great. Make sure you unmute yourself, ask questions, chat in the chat box. I'll monitor any of those things for you, Mitch, as well as the ones that come in through Workplace if anybody asks questions there. And I'll keep letting people in. So I'm going to let you take it away. Can you do a little introduction to anybody who doesn't know about your background? I'm sure most people do, but there's a few new people on here, new to EXP, I know. And so I think it would be great to start there if you don't mind.
Sure. So, well, thanks for having me on, Cari. I really appreciate it. And, you know, I love sharing and stuff like that. I don't get to do it as much these days because of my road travels, but I'm home for actually 3 weeks, which is a blessing. I was gone for the last 3 weeks, and I think I was home 3 days in 3 weeks, and I only came home because we had the hurricane that I had to go to, or lock my house up with when that came by.
Yeah.
So anyway, my name is Mitch Ribak. I'm been with EXP 5.5 years. We moved our brokerage over in 2017. We were the first broker to move over of any size. We moved over 40 agents. Chronic entrepreneur. I've owned a lot of stuff. I've owned about 23 different companies. It's weird not having anybody having their cameras on and looking at me.
I know. I'm going to be
put your cameras on and look at me, everybody. It's like talking to names. I know everybody's in their thongs and in their underwear, right? Yeah. Yeah, and Katie says she's driving. I use that excuse too. It's a good excuse. Anyway, so I'll just give you a brief background. I started my first business at 19 with a modular home business. I sold 2 of them, hated it, which back then is a lot. I made $10,000 in like 2 weeks, but it just wasn't for me. I've owned a restaurant. I was the third paintball business in the country. I was the first online dating service in the world. I was the first person doing forced lead capture on websites in the real estate industry, and built out everybody who does anything with lead conversion in real estate is based on the stuff I built 20 years ago now and developed over 20 years. I've owned a restaurant. I've owned a couple of ad agencies. I've owned a flower business. I was a stripper for nursing homes. That was a fun one. No, I'm kidding. Just who's actually listening out there. But anyway, I got into real estate, like I said, in 2001, and I did a couple of things. Everybody told me not to do open houses, not to do floor time, which we don't have that anymore. Nobody has that, and not to do internet. Well, my background was internet, being the first online dating service, and open houses. People, I said, were coming to me. Why would I not want to do open houses? So I sold 36 homes my first year. 28 were from open houses. 50 my second year. 80 my third year, 80 my fourth year, 80 to 100 my fourth year. Always did at least 24 transactions from open houses. I think it's the least understood and most opportunity in real estate. And then I started my brokerage in 2005, built that up to 120 agents, and that was fun. And then we got to a point where I was 55 years old, kind of freaking out. And hi, Cari. Thank you for showing your face. I feel like I'm talking to myself on these things when there's nobody looking at me.
I think my internet's better now, so I can be on camera.
There you go. And you have much better hair than I do. Anyway, so when I turned 55, kind of freaked out a little bit, and just looked at options and went to sell the company. And it's hard to sell a real estate company. Well, you can sell them. I got 2 great offers of $3.5 million each, but the challenge is the terms, which are you get paid a little money the first year, a little money the second year, third year, is your final payment is 70% based on the retention of, at that time, 120 agents. And that didn't make sense to me. And I've been studying EXP. I won't get into the whole thing here, but I studied EXP for a couple of years. I love the model. but my ego is in the way. So if you're ever talking to a broker about joining EXP, please bring me into the call because I know the magic buttons for them. Because I lived all those buttons and they're not very fun. So, being an entrepreneur, I'm always coming up with different ways of selling houses. And some of the stuff I'm going to go over today is mine, and some of it's not. And I'll give some, we could talk a little more detail. And some I'll just give an idea. I actually just did this live yesterday in an event here in Melbourne, Florida. So it's pretty fresh in my brain. So I'm going to cheat on my notes here so I know what I'm talking about. But the first thing I want to talk about is open houses, because this is the time where open houses are finally coming back. They were tough the last few years because homes sold in like 5 seconds, but now they're not. So I'm going to give you just a couple of tips on open houses because I really believe everybody should be doing open houses every week. I did them consistently, even when I was selling 80 to 100 homes a year. I still did an open house every week. It's the best lead gen there is for free. And when I got in the real estate business, I just lost $82 million and I was really broke. So I think I had $14,000 left in my name, and that was enough for about 3 months worth of revenue. I think that's part of the reason why I sold so many homes so quickly is because I had to. What a concept, right? So open houses. Firstly, if you're going to work an open house, work an open house. Don't do from 2 to 4, do 10 to 4, right? Now, I don't advertise open houses, and I'm going to explain to you in a minute why I don't. Never, ever advertise an open house, because if you advertise an open house, you're stuck there all day, right? I only did vacant homes, did not do homes that people were occupied because I didn't want to put them out. And by the way, it took about 3 months to figure some of this stuff out, 6 months to really get down my plan of how I was going to really kill it with open houses. But I learned that when people would come into the open house like 10:15, and open at 10, and I'm like, hey, do you want to look at more property today? Like, sure. I go, well, I get off at 4. And then they would never answer my phone call or never show up where they're going to show up and all that stuff. So I said, well, I have to be able to leave the open house when I meet somebody, because my goal of every open house is one solid buyer. That's it. One buyer. I don't care about anything else, just one solid buyer. So I do a couple of things to do that. So I don't advertise. I put out a ton of signs. I tell the consumer or the agent I'm doing it for, I'm only going to do an open house for 1 hour, maybe more. But I got some other stuff I want to get done today, but I really want to go do at least an hour. That way, when I leave, I don't get yelled at. Okay, because I'm not going to be. I'm very seldom do I ever do an open house an entire day. I also find 2 homes that are vacant somewhere in the vicinity. And so here's my line. And Cari, let me role play with you for a second. So how'd you like the house?
It was okay. I mean, I like the neighborhood a lot.
Okay, is this the price range you're looking?
Yeah.
So I have 2 more homes around the corner that are a little bit nicer and around the same price range. You want to go take a quick look?
Sure. I mean, I don't have a lot of time. Are they really close?
They're less than a mile.
Perfect. Yeah, let's do it.
80% say yes. So here's the deal. Now they're in my car I'm with them for 30 minutes. I get to build a relationship, because how can you not love me after 30 minutes, right? And it works amazingly. And now here's what I'm doing. My only goal in that 30 minutes is to find out their buying time frame. Right? I'm not looking for any other information. I'm not even talking about real estate. I'm just talking about their family and their kids and their lifestyle, and if it's just a single woman, I'm just flirting. I'm kidding. Whatever it takes. And then what I do is, if their buying time frame is now, I say, you guys seem like really great people. If you'd like, I'll just shut down my open house and let's go back to back there, and we'll look up some more properties. Go look at more properties. How you want to do that? They almost always did. And that's how I sold so many homes through open houses. So, and of course, keep in mind, what you do today will pay off in 90 days. Most people stop doing open houses after doing them once or twice because they did them wrong. I talked to an agent yesterday who did one last weekend. She goes, I didn't have any luck. I go, well, tell me about what you market. She goes, well, I put it on the MLS and I put a sign out. I go, well, there's your mistake. Don't worry about the MLS. Put 30 signs out. The more signs you have out, the more people you have. We did a study on this a few years ago. 90% of the people that come to your open houses come because of signs. So that's open houses. I'm going to look down my list here of stuff to do. So I got a bunch from. So the other one I like, and I've done this several times, is move-in parties. So you have a buyer and you send out a postcard to the entire neighborhood saying, hey, I'm gonna have a little party for a move-in party for my new customers, and come meet the Joneses. And they come, and I generally will have a barbecue and beer, wine, a little flask of vodka for myself since I don't drink those. Hamburgers, hot dogs, water, soda for the kids. And generally, every time I did that, I'd get 15 to 20 people. And I generally did this a week after closing, enough time to them get a little bit settled. But I didn't want to wait too long, because if you wait too long, that's when they don't like you anymore, because all the stuff starts going wrong in the house, right? And it's always the realtor's fault. So I do those parties then. Now so those are on the medium size or lower priced homes. For my high end stuff, and I'll give you an example. I had $2 million closing a couple of years ago, a friend of mine, and I said, I'm going to throw you guys a housewarming party. I'm going to invite 4 other couples, and I'm going to bring in a chef. And we brought in a chef. It cost me about $3,000 or $4,000 for the dinner, but I made 50 grand. I sold 2 homes over $800,000 from those 4 other couples that were there. So again, it's just, taking advantage of the people that and I don't mean taking advantage, making useful of that relationship to meet more people that are full of relationships. On a note on that, by the way, with high-end properties and luxury properties, it's nice to see some people getting on here smiling, smile. What people ask me all the time, what's the difference between a luxury agent and a regular agent? And 90% of the time, it's just fluff. And I'll give you an example on that. By the way, I'm ADD, so you're going to get stuff that you probably didn't want to hear today, but it's going to come out of my mouth. So sorry. I'll apologize ahead of time. But it's really fluff. So the difference, I'll give you an example. We have a group here with another brokerage. It's the top luxury team in the county by far. They do a lot of business. And they did, so I've analyzed their stuff. And so when an agent gives their customers a flyer and says, hey, you should give this to your friends, they give an 8-page beautiful brochure. So think about that. And they say 20 of them, give them out to your friends and family and all that stuff. And now who are you going to use? The person that gave you a 1-page brochure or a flyer, or the person that gave this gorgeous high gloss 8-page brochure? It's just fluff. And then confidence. Pete Middleton, who's one of the top luxury agents in our company, right, in EXP, we have that conversation all the time. If you're going to do high end, you have to pretend like you're doing $150,000 property away. Like if you go into a little low end property, you get all the confidence. Oh, that's just a piece of cake. You have to have that same confidence when you go into a high end property. And honestly, people that are selling $2, $3, $4, $5 million properties are much easier than people selling $150,000, $300,000 properties. Big difference. Okay, so let's find another lead gen thing here that I like. Let's talk about farming. Does anybody farm? So farming is another lost art, and most people do it incorrectly. So I'll tell you the story behind how I did this. I had a guy in 2003 that was buying a house sight unseen from Alexandria, Virginia. And he goes, I do have to sell my house. He goes, but don't worry, we're going to use the neighborhood realtor here, and it sells in 3 days. And I'm like, neighborhood realtor? I want to know how you became the neighborhood realtor. I don't care about anything else. I get the phone number. I call the guy. I go, his name was Jack. I go, Jack, how did you become the neighborhood realtor? And he goes, well, actually, I said, I have a friend getting ready to list a house with you, and I don't want a referral fee. He goes, well, what do you want? I go, I want to know how you became the neighborhood realtor. Because I don't know about you. Have you ever been called the neighborhood realtor? Most people are not. And that's like where we wanted. That's what we strive to be, right? The neighborhood realtor for the 1,000 homes that we service. So he told me his systems. It was really, really clever. He never worked in that neighborhood before. He picked a neighborhood with 1,000 homes. And most importantly, and this is something that I didn't even know back then, was understanding the turnover rate of the neighborhood. So a lot of people do a neighborhood. Like I had an agent who was farming a neighborhood of 100 homes. It had a 2% turnover rate. That means only 2 homes per year selling that neighborhood. So every penny she was spending on those 100 homes was just a waste of money, right? Even if she got her 2 listings out of it, which she wasn't going to, she wasn't going to make her money back. So he did 1,000 homes. He had an 8% turnover rate. And my goal is always 8 to 10, 8+%, 8, 10, 12% turnover rate. And he did multiple things. He did the postcard every week for 8 weeks to break into the neighborhood. And then every other week after. So every other week forever. And by the way, when I talked to him, this was the end of his second year. So it's been 2 years straight of doing this. And Sherry, I'll answer that question in 1 second. So he did that, and then he would do in the clubhouse, he would do an event every quarter. So now he's done 8 events at this point. He got permission from the HOA to manage the front entrance. The front entrance had a bunch of flowers because I have so many pots of flowers at my house because I just keep replacing them every week. And he just sits there at the entranceway going, hi to everybody, as they drive in. And I can see myself doing that. I'd like to be like, it's like almost like being a Walmart greeter, but it's an HOA greeter. And then he, how the husband dies and the older lady's house kind of needs a paint job and stuff like that. He did 2 of those, and he sent out postcards to everybody in the neighborhood except for that house saying, Mrs. So-and-so's house needs a paint job. I'm going to buy all the paint. I need some volunteers. He said both times he did it, he got between 10 and 15 people to help him. He painted the houses on the weekend. So the numbers, and thanks Becky for answering that. The numbers were amazing. His total cost was $18,000 a year. By the end of his second year, he'd done 50 listings. We're not even talking about buyers he got from those. He did 50 listings, $750,000 in commissions. But he truly became the owner of that neighborhood. So if you want to own a neighborhood, I can guarantee you, I mean, you all live in a house, right? Or maybe a condo or whatever. Think about yourself. How many postcards do you get from other realtors? Like I live in a canal home in Merritt Island, Florida, a little nice area. Average home is about in our area is about $600,000 to $700,000 on the canals, and I get a postcard once in a blue moon, and nobody, 5,000 realtors locally, and nobody sends me a postcard consistently. So what happens is a realtor, you go out, you do a postcard mailing to a neighborhood, you get no phone calls. It takes 3, 4, 5 months before you get any traction going. You get no phone calls, and then that doesn't work. So anything you test, anything you do, minimum 6 months. So I've every program that I talk about, the internet lead stuff that I talk about. I'm not going to talk about lead stuff today. I'll give you some tips on it, but all the stuff that I've done, all my open house stuff, strategies and stuff that I developed my first year, there were 6 months of trial and error to get to where they were working properly. Everything I did. Okay, so that's how you farm an area. That's how you own an area. Pretty cool stuff. And by the way, if anybody else has any questions, just let me know.
Mitch, yeah, I do have a quick question. I'm sorry, I'm writing
Sure.
this down. So a postcard every week for 8 weeks to break into the community, and then after that, every other week?
Yep.
And no
Yeah,
calling or door knocking or anything? Or
well, you can do that too, sure.
Yep.
I mean, the more you do, the better. I'm just trying to, one of the things I've learned about, I have a book out there. So I had 3 books. So the first 2 books actually real books. The third book was, and this will kind of go along with what you're saying is it's called A Rockstar Sales Guide. Don't do chicken shit marketing. And the first page says don't email. So second page says don't text. The third page says pick up the effing phone. Except I actually swear in the book. It sold more copies than my other books combined. But it's only $1 on Amazon. You don't need to buy it because I just gave you the book. But it's true. So the more you do this in-person stuff, it's better. But what I've learned with most realtors is they don't want to do that. So I've had to come up with programs that are chicken shit marketing, right? And that's the way it is. But yes, and let me give you the content of the two postcards ago, because they're not difficult. One postcard is market updates for the neighborhood. Pretty simple, right? What's active, what's under contract, what's sold. The second postcard is is my top 10 things to do in wherever you live. So Melbourne, Florida, next month. That's it. It's not about, all the stuff I do is not about the content. It's about the contact, right? And why do people use you as a realtor? There's only one reason. Either they're ultra loyal to you, which I was blessed enough to have lots of loyal customers over the years, or you happen to be in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling. So this is just about being in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling. And most of your competitors, all of your competitors, will never do what I'm talking about right now because they won't spend the money. They don't invest in their business. And I'll give you another thing I talk to people about all the time. The challenge we have as realtors, not we, most realtors, I know you guys are all rock stars, but is the barrier to entry into this business is so stupid that you don't take it serious. So I want you to think to yourself, it's $1,500, right? $400 or $500 for a class, $1,000 to join a board. But what I did when I got in this business, again, because I'm an entrepreneur, I said, first of all, I built it as a business from day one. But secondly, I had the mindset that I spent $250,000 to start this business. And I hammered that into my brain, because if you spent $250,000 to start your real estate career, what would you do different? Everything, right? Everything. You would not do what you're doing today. I don't care what you're doing. You would do more of whatever you should be doing. All right, that's my little lecture for the day. Let's talk about your circle of influence for a minute. Most people on my phone will show up my thing. So this is our phone. There's a phone here. Can you see it? Yeah. With the background, they don't show up. So most people have more business in their phone than they ever need in their whole life. But no, I'm saying nobody because I've trained thousands of people on this. There's only a handful have actually done it. But here's how you master your sphere of influence. You take everybody you know. And by the way, I have a webinar called How to Make $100,000 a Year Working 4 hours a day on my YouTube channel. Go on there and search for it. This is my open house and this thing I'm going to teach you right now. It's funny. I teach all this stuff now. It's not internet. It's so weird for me because I spent last 20 years teaching internet stuff. But so your sphere of influence, it's the same concept as a neighborhood, except you need everybody's name and email address. So the challenge is most people won't take the time to put down names and email addresses of everybody they know. And we're just talking about your market area, not your out of area. We'll talk about that in a second. So you put names and email addresses of every single person you know, and you're going to send them an email twice a month, just like we do postcards, twice a month. And it's all you're going to do is the first one to say is one of the things I like to do for my friends and family. This is all in the video. If you want to watch the video, so you'll have details, so I don't have to spend a lot of time repeating it. One of the things I like to do with my friends and family is to keep them updated on the local market. Below is all the market stats for last month. And almost every board that I know about in the country gives you a market update of everything every month. Now we turn them into infographics because they look better, but you just plug that into the body. And this is the key. At the end of the email, you end it like this, and every single one is, as you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only, and I could really, really use your help. And I'm not sure why really, really is so important, but it really is. It really, really is. Really, so as you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only, and I really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell a home, could you please send me their contact info? Don't ever ask them to send that person your contact info, because they're never going to call you. Okay. So as you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only, and I can really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell, please send me their contact info. All right. So that goes out once a month. And then the second email, same thing, top 10 things to do in Melbourne, Florida. Right. Now that email, you can literally write all 12 of your emails once a month, right? Of your first email, and you change it up a little bit. The second one might be, I work with lots of vendors. If you ever need a vendor, plumber, electrician, whatever, I know about all the good ones. Let me find one for you. And here's the market updates for last month. Click that in. And then, as you know, as a realtor, I work by referral only, blah, 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 blah. Next one might be, if you're ever interested in your neighborhood and what's going on in your neighborhood, I'm glad to set you up so you're getting all the new listings that come on the market. That's the next one. Next one is, if you're ever interested in a neighborhood outside of your neighborhood, what's going on there, let me know and I'll set you up in that one. I do all of that through MailChimp and not through KV Core, because I don't want you to clog up your lead conversion system, which is what KV Core is for you, with a bunch of people that haven't raised their hand yet. But someone raises their hand and they want me to set them up in a different search or something like that, then they'll go into my KV Core and I'll do that through there. Okay. What we've learned over the years of doing internet marketing, doing tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of leads. If you have too many leads inside your database, you will never work your database. So we only put the ones that really are interested in buying or selling in your database. Okay. All right. Cari, how much time do we have today?
We have a half an hour left if you'd like to take it, but we don't have to take the entire time either. That is up to you.
Yeah, I got a few more things I want to talk about. And then I want to open up. And by the way, if you have something you've tried and you want my feedback on it, I'm a marketing guy. That's my background. I'm a marketing person. That's all I've ever done for 42 years is market crap.
So any questions or a certain lead generation tactic that you want to just pick Mitch's brain on, post it in the chat and we'll leave a few minutes here at the end and then he can share with us.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to give you my favorite lead gen. This is my favorite one. I'm all over the place on my thing here. So my favorite one is Starbucks. And we have an agent in California that does 30 transactions a year. His entire marketing plan is 8 to 11 Monday through Friday sitting at Starbucks. That's it. On the back of his laptop, this is so brilliant. On the back of his laptop, it says, real estate question, ask me. Brilliant. Right? Now think about that. So say you're in an area where I don't know your areas where you guys live, but say I'll use my area here in Brevard County. You know, we have a place called Titusville where the average sales probably, is that what you had on the back of there, Angie? Awesome, love that. The price is around 250 to 300. Then you have areas like Vieira that's 2 million. The beauty of this is you can go pick your market now, because there's Starbucks on every corner of every city, right? So if you're in an area that sells $300,000 homes and you want to go to $500,000 homes, go sit in Starbucks in a $500,000 area. You've just doubled your business almost, right? Pretty easy. But here's the caveat to all this stuff. You have to be consistent. And I don't care what you do. Everything I'm talking about here, it's consistent. Like with open houses, I did the same open house until it sold every week. Right? All my listings, my first 2 years came from open houses, by the way. If you're going to do Starbucks, you got to be there and you got to do it every week. One of my agents did it for 2 weeks, got 2 buyers from it, and then stopped doing it. Now, again, the guy that's doing it, and I don't even remember his name because it was 4 years ago. He told me this. So I couldn't even tell you who it was. It always stuck with me since then. But he said it took him 2 months before anybody would say anything to him. But here's the cool thing about Starbucks versus anywhere else. The guy that comes in there at 9:02 today will be there at 9:02 tomorrow, 9:02 the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And you position yourself so when they're standing in line, they can't help but see you. Now, the only negative to that is you're going to walk out of there wired every morning by taking too much coffee. So, any questions about that one? That's my favorite thing in the world, by the way. I wish I had that. We didn't have, in 2001 when I started real estate, we didn't have wireless laptops. You didn't have that ability to do that and sit in the store. That's honestly, I would have just done that every day instead of what I did. That's way easier than everything else I did.
Mitch, I've done that, and I've also bought like $100 and give it to the barista of gift cards, and then just pay randomly for people's coffee and send them over, let them know I bought them a cup of coffee. If they have any questions, I'm here. So, and I did that weekly, same time, same day for months and months.
How'd it go?
It went well. I had some really good conversations, and then I switched my team and switched up everything. So I stopped doing that because someone took my place, but I could have started at another Caribou up here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a phenomenal thing. And, I will tell you, again, being in marketing my whole life, is marketing equals consistency equals sales. If you do your marketing consistently, you will get sales regardless of what you do. Even if it completely sucks, eventually you'll get a sale. But my whole rule is after 6 months, if it wasn't working, I did a lot of other things that didn't work, by the way. I spent a fortune. So here's what I will tell you guys is, if you're going to go spend money on something, before you spend money on something, reach out to me. Let me look after you, because most of it's bullshit. Most of it's just a lie. It's people trying to get $30 a month out of you, $100 a month out of you, $200, whatever that number is. And for the masses, it doesn't work. And they'll use their 2 or 3 people that it worked for. And they did that with me on the internet. There's a company called Home Game. I was their poster child because we had a 6% conversion rate on raw registration leads, which is, 6 times more than 6 times, almost 7 times the national average. And so I was their poster child. They would have me on webinars. It was great. It built my whole coaching business. But the reality is most people weren't going to make any money with the program because they weren't going to do what I did and set up the systems that I set up to do that. So don't spend money on something without checking with someone, and don't fall for, well, let me have you talk to Bill Smith because Bill Smith made $100,000 this year. Well, of course he did. They gave him the program for free because they wanted to make sure somebody worked, and they gave him so much support that he did sales. And there's always one out of 100 who's going to make some money. All right. Let me see what else we got here. We got 2:33, plenty of time. All right. So if you live in an area, I'm going to use my area here. We're in the Cocoa Beach area of Florida. Doesn't suck, by the way. It's very nice. And so what I teach my agents to do, which none of them do this, by the way, but I've done it, it's great, is I go stay at hotels for the weekend on the beach, right? Because who's on those hotels on the beach? Nobody from here. And all I do is hang around the pool and hang around the bar and have a few drinks and meet people, because I talk to everybody. And I've sold a ton of homes that way. Right. So it's a staycation, right, with a purpose. And you get to write the weekend off. It's a write-off. You're working. Right. Another one, like who goes grocery shopping? I love grocery shopping. It's one of the few things I love doing. It's the only place I can flirt with 85-year-old women. It's awesome. Well, they flirt with me. But so many funny stories going through my brain. I always gotta keep these things clean because I'm so not. But everybody who goes shopping always goes to the shortest line, right? Or the no line. I always went to the longest line. And here's how easy this is. And I've sold dozens of homes at Publix, which is our grocery store here in Florida. I go to the line and the person in front of me, how's your day going? And what are they going to say to me? Always, oh, going good. How's your day? Real estate business is crazy. Oh, you're in the real estate business? Boom. People use you because you're in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling. And every once in a while, you meet somebody in line that either is or knows somebody. So I give you another story similar to that. I had a woman come in. And then better, I used to say girl, but I got yelled at for saying girl. This political correct crack does not work for me. Yeah, if you saw me speak live, you know it does not work for me. There's a lot of places will not accept me back now. Hank will drop the F-bomb like on these things. I only do those live visions. Anyway, so I don't even know where I was going. What was I don't know what I was just saying. This is what happens when you ramble. What was I just saying?
We were talking about grocery store, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I keep muting myself because I have noise back here. Yeah, you
Oh, I
said you
noticed.
were getting the longest line in the grocery store.
Longest line.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that. So I like to give real examples of stuff that are not me, because everybody's like, well, Mitch, you're you. I'm like, I'm just a short little bald Jewish guy. I'm not that good. Who thinks he's funny. Anyway, so I had a woman come in recently, a few months ago. And I was struggling. I'm not making any money. I go, well, what are you doing? She goes, well, are you getting out? What are you doing? I find it almost impossible to not sell houses. Like I don't sell anymore. I have to work hard not to sell houses because like everybody wants me to. I gave away 30, 40 deals this year, this 2022, because I don't want to do them. I think I did 5 sales because of people I just couldn't get rid of. But so I said. We have a place called Cocoa Village. It's a cool little area. There's a coffee shop in there called the Sarios. And there's always a line. I want you to go in that coffee shop and I want you to talk to the person in front of you and behind you. So you call me 2 hours later, got a listing. Yeah. So, by the way, hasn't sold anything since. That was 4 months ago. And the reason being, because she's still not going to go out of the house. She's still not going to get out of her comfort zone. Is if you're never getting out of comfortable, you should always be uncomfortable being comfortable, right? If you're always comfortable, you are not growing, right? If you're doing things that are so easy, right, then you're going to stay at the same level. There's a reason why realtors stay, and you guys all know people. That person does $3 million a year. They do 3 million every year, right? The one does 10 million does 10 million. The one that does 15 they do the same numbers every year because they don't ever go to their comfort zone to level up. I was in Puerto Rico recently with Glenn Sanford, and if you ever talk to Glenn one-on-one, he's just such an interesting character. And he's a billionaire, right? And I said, I'm a 10,000-aire, so it's close. And I said, but I think the most impressive thing I see about you is you're always trying to go to another level. Which, by the way, I'm 61 and I'm still trying to go to another level all the time. I got 2,000 agents on me right now. I won't be happy till I hit 5,000. I know when I hit 5,000, it'll be 10,000. He's always moving up. He goes, well, when you stop leveling up, you die. And so if you become neutral, meaning you're not moving up anyway, you're just staying in this neutral plane, how boring. Now, I get it. Some people aren't like me and don't want to grow their businesses, but if you do and especially if you're doing on this, I want you to pay attention. If you do a phenomenal job your first 4 years in this business, you never have to sell a house ever again. Meaning I haven't looked for a sale, like no leads ever since 2005. Up until last year when I stopped selling homes, I sold 25 to 30 homes a year and gave away 50 to 80 homes a year. All from my initial 4 years. And by the way, I didn't do any follow-up. I didn't do any sphere of influence. I just think they like my humor because definitely not my looks. And I just had a ball with every customer. And you know what? They always knew I had their best interests at heart. Because I tell them my goal is your goal. Like if you accomplish your goals, I accomplish my goals. And I live from it. I do everything from my heart. I know it sounds corny, but it's true. It's why I contribute so much to, I do 33-way calls a week. For anybody, I don't care who's on my thing. That most of half the people aren't on my, even in my organization. I did probably 10 coaching calls this week so far. For people say, hey, Mitch, can you give me a coaching call? So if you lead with your heart in selling houses, you're going to do so much better with everything. Let me find what time's it? 40. I can't see anything anymore. I'm going blind. Let's see what else I hear. I have a whole bunch of stuff. Commercial agents. If you know a commercial agent, become their best friend. Because one thing I know about my commercial friends, they hate residential, but they know lots of people looking to buy, sell homes. Become a really good friend with a commercial guy, and then you can recruit them to EXP to commercial after that. Financial people, CPAs, financial planners, they all know people. Divorce lawyers, those are great ones. Well, first you become with the marriage counselors, right? They're the ones that try to save them, and then you do the divorce lawyers after they get the divorce, because it doesn't really work. But somebody has to make some money. Everybody has to make money. Let's see, what else do I got here that I like? Oh, here's a good one. So in 2000, Becky, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. That's one of my favorite things. In fact, that's why I'm leaving here to play golf right afterwards. Play golf with I don't know anybody who plays in this golf league. I've never met these people before, and so I've already got 2 people I'm looking for houses for. Not with me, with one of my. I've already told them one of my agents. Well, let me see what I was going to tell you, because I just forgot. 80. Oh yeah. All right. So we all work with mortgage companies, title companies, and inspectors and insurance companies and all that stuff. They are one-way streets, right? I am so not that person. You will not get my business if you're a one-way street. And I'll tell you how that happened. My first year, like I said, 30, 36, 50, and 80 homes my first year. First 3 years. And there were 75% buyers at that time. And I said to my mortgage broker, I said, not only do you not give me even a bottle of wine, now think about it, he's probably made $300,000, $400,000 off me at this point, right? In 3 years. I go, not only do you, just off me, I go, not only do you not even give me a bottle of wine at Christmas. He goes, well, you're Jewish. I go, Hanukkah. I go, you've never once given me a deal. I go, so here's the deal. If you don't give me any customers, I'm not using you anymore. This is not a one-way street, right? And he said, well, if I give it to you, I have to give it to other people. I go, well, has anybody else ever asked you? He goes, no. And he still wouldn't do it. That was the last time I used him. So I wouldn't use anybody, especially if you're a good producer, unless they're willing to give you stuff. Why would you? It's not a one-way street. This is you should not be supporting somebody else's life. They should be co-marrying you, co-partnering with you, and helping you, funding you with your lead gen, doing something to participate in your business. So why would you use them? Right? It's not up to us to support their families. Right? We have enough trouble supporting our own families. Right, that's my little aha moment there. Let's see. Oh, there was a question. Do I geo farming? I looked at all that. The geo farming is, if I remember, was the internet, right? Was that internet? So it's been a long. No. So the answer is no. I've never really done geo farming, so I can't talk about that. I can look at it for you and tell you if you should do it or not, but I haven't done it. All right, let's talk about golf. So I'm a golfer. When I got my license, I knew 0 people here. Part of the reason why I did open house, I knew my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and she lived with me, so she wasn't buying a house for me. And I knew her mother, who had a house, so she wasn't buying a house for me. So I said, where can I meet people besides open houses? I knew networking was going to be a big part of my life. I'm an athlete, so I'm a baseball player. I played baseball until I was 46. Back going to Red Sox fantasy camp January 8th with my best friend of 55 years. Can't wait. It's going to be an awesome week. I'm not even bringing my phone or my computer. I'm going to totally shut down for a week. Never done that before. But so I played ping pong. So I was number 14th in Southern New England for ping pong. So I joined a ping pong league. I joined a bowling league. Like, anybody from Massachusetts there? But Massachusetts, you have what's called candlepin bowling, little balls and big tall pins. I never bowled big balls. So I'm going to bowl big balls. I got big balls. I'll bowl big balls. And then I said, I want to golf. So I learned if you volunteer at the golf course, I know it's totally inappropriate. Sorry. If you volunteer at the golf course.
Becky, I can just see Becky laughing her head off over here.
Yeah. I said, when you look like this, you have to be funny. You have no life. So, and you're only funny when you make fun of yourself. That's what's so fun. So I said, I need to meet more people. But I found out if you volunteer at a golf course, you get to play golf free. And I was horrible. Like I only played golf. It was like a drinking game with my friends, growing up. So I took 5 lessons, and he discounted those for me because I was a volunteer. On Thursdays from it was like 12 to 8 or 2 to 8, something like that. I would be a ranger, and a ranger rides around telling people to move on a little faster and just saying hi to people. So all I do is hand out business cards the entire time. It was great. But where I made my money is I would show up every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'd play 18 holes with whoever they hooked me up with, just like Becky said. And you're stuck with me for 4 hours now. By the way, all of my customers moving forward, I took golfing because I was good. I'm not as good now, but I was a good golfer then. I was a 9 handicap. And I went from being really sucky to a 9 handicap in 4 months. And everybody I took golfing, or everybody I took out for dinner or lunch. I always did something social with my customers, every customer, because when you do something social, you get to know them on a personal level, not on a business level. And I want my customers to love me, because if they love me, they'll use me forever. And that's what's happened. I built this great business just by having a lot of fun. Same thing with, if you're in an area where there's country club or a yacht club, you should be members of those places. And if you're not, you're missing out. Those are huge opportunities. And what does that do again for your price range? It elevates your price range. So if you have a yacht club, or if you have a country club there, even if you don't golf, go join the social club. Every country club, golf club has a social membership. I think the one here, the biggest one here, is $130 a month. Nothing. Plus, right now they're sold out. You can't get in there. All right. Let me see if there's any more, and then we'll open it up to any questions you got. Door knocking. Let's just talk door knocking for a second. Always door knock with a purpose. Don't just go, hey, my name is Mitch, I'm a wicked awesome realtor, sell your house. Don't do that. Print out, how we to the postcards, we talked about giving the market updates, act as under contract and sold. Just print out a sheet and bring that. Hey, I just want to give you an update. I'm going to start walking around once a month, giving everybody an update on the stuff. And so instead of doing a mailer, do a door knocker and give that, and also have it as a door hanger. So if they don't answer the door, leave it as a door hanger, right? So just door knock with a purpose. You can also go into a neighborhood and look at what's went under contract this week, and go knock on doors and say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but 555 Main Street just went under contract. And, we have lots of buyers looking in this neighborhood. And I only say that if there are lots of buyers looking in that neighborhood. So if homes are selling quickly in the neighborhood, do you and somebody looking interested in selling your home? So it's with a purpose. Everything I do is with a purpose. I like door knocking. It's fun. These are all local schools. If you have kids, this will be the final one, then we'll open up. If you have kids or grandkids, in my case, you should volunteer at their schools. And you should always go wearing your EXP shirt. And by the way, you should always be wearing an EXP shirt or a label, a badge, whatever they call. I always, when I'm not working, because I used to wear a suit every day. I'm having a suit burning party this coming summer. Is my freedom. That's my freedom thing. I'm gonna have a clam bake on the beach and burn a suit. It'll be one of my cheap suits, by the way. They need to be thrown away anyway. I'm not gonna burn $1,000 suit. I'm a nice guy, but I'm not that nice. But you never know when people are going to search you out just by having that on. I've sold a lot of homes just by having an EXP shirt. I have an EXP shirt on. Going golfing, right? What am I wearing? Every time I golf, I wear an EXP shirt, right? Because you don't want to be a secret realtor. If you're sitting home all day long, you should be out doing something. And I don't care if it's socializing. There's a group called Meetup. Anybody hear of meetup.com? Meetup.com is great. They have a million different organizations in there. If they don't have something you like, start one. BNI, we've all heard of BNI. I'm going to just rapid fire crap now. BNI, everybody, do you guys all know BNI is the networking groups, right? Don't join a group, start the group. Don't do a BNI group because that costs you money. You don't need to do that. You all know insurance, title, escrow, lawyers, inspectors, everybody, mortgage, everything you can survey is start your own group. And the beauty of what's happened since COVID is Zoom is now a great place to do your meetings. So you don't have to rent a place anymore. It's still almost personal. All right. So I could probably come up with another 25 things in the next 6 minutes, but I want to make sure I have time to answer any questions. We got like 12 minutes left here. So is anybody trying something they need help on, or a question about something, or you just want to talk about life. And, I was the first online dating service. I do a lot of dating advice. If you like singles advice, if you're single, I can do that for you. Or-
We can go off on a lot of different tangents here, you guys, with Mitch, if we want to. I think that's awesome. Becky, you didn't hear this one because you weren't on at the beginning, but I didn't know if you knew about Mitch. He literally started the very first online dating service and sold it. Very fun fact of Mitch.
Well, no, so I didn't sell it. It was under
you
contract to sell. It was under contract to sell. I was supposed to close in June of 2000.
Yeah.
In April of 2000, the internet bubble burst and I lost $82 million.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
And then I
you got
ended up in
real estate.
freaking real estate. Now I'm doing this shit for a living. What the hell?
Hey, it turned out okay.
You're a risk
turned out okay.
taker.
I know, I know, right?
Well, think about that. When I joined EXP, right? I am. And my wife and I went, so I got offered $3.5 million to the company. And then I met Jason Gessing for the fourth time up in New York, right after I didn't go through that deal. And my wife is thinking we're going to sell the company for $3.5–4 million. And I came on, I said, I think we're going to give the company away. She's like, what? And I said, well, this EXP model, I've been watching it for 2 years. And there's a really good video. If you want to watch a good video, especially if you're talking to a broker, if you go onto my YouTube channel, which is just Mitch Ribak, and then put in the word Jeanette next to it, my wife, watch that video. It's really powerful. It's my wife talking about what it's done as a spouse of an EXP agent, right?
How do you spell your wife's name?
Jeannette. Yeah, and really watch it. If you're talking to a broker, have them watch that video. I've just given it to several brokers, and most of them cry.
Wow.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Most of the people watch it cry because it's very emotional. My wife had never been on video, and she was getting interviewed by Renee Funk, and she's like, "What do I do?" I go, "Just talk from the heart." And she had written a letter to EXP, and she read the letter, and it's really good. If Brent Gover ever lets me on one of his class stages, I'll get up there and have her do it. But he keeps shutting. He said I'm too short to be on stage.
Okay, so Mitch, Becky and I have a very large following of broker owners, and we're doing some different things, and we've got some platforms coming. So we're going to get you guys on that because, here's what it's all about: is changing people's lives. And
Yes.
people have to hear how it's changed people's lives in order for them to understand it can change theirs too. And the stories that have how people have been impacted is really what people resonate with.
110%.
Yep.
There are a couple of, I don't know if we got this, but Christine Atkins asked, I'm sorry if I missed it, but do you have any geo farming? If so, how do you go about it? What if you're competing with other agents?
I didn't know what geo farming was, so.
I think it's just farming a neighborhood.
Oh, so okay, so if that's what you're talking about. I would call that micro marketing, but micro farming.
Okay. Micro marketing.
Just different language. So I wouldn't worry about other people. I will guarantee you that 99% of people will never do it consistently.
Okay.
Just be consistent, right? And I see another about is it advisable to do unadvertised open houses while everyone is coming off from the apps? Yes. Just put lots of signs up. 90% of people come to your open house from signs.
Okay.
That work?
Awesome.
So going back to brokers for a second, Cari, just to finish that conversation. Here's the real truth about brokerages. None of them make any money. Right? None of them. But you have to get by the ego. The thing that stopped me, my best year with 120 agents and 700 transactions, I made 200 grand. My average year, I made between minus 50 grand and 50 grand profit. Once in a while, I'd pull 75 or 100 grand out. That was it. If I didn't have my coaching business and still sell 30 homes a year, I would have been bankrupt. Right. So, but when you're talking to a broker, it's an ego thing. It's their baby, and they will never tell you they're not making any money. I went up and flew up to Gene Frederick asked me to fly up to New Jersey and meet somebody from a broker from it. Of course, Gene's helped me a lot, so I do anything for Gene. And so I flew up there. I met this guy, 350 agents, average sale $1 million. His net in 2021 was $100,000, 104,000 to be exact. And he couldn't join. His overhead was so high that he couldn't join. My overhead was $65,000 a month when we switched over. I gave up my splits immediately. Right now, there's a little more work though. There was no negotiating stuff back then. Now you could play a little bit and you have ways of helping brokers switch over and not lose as much money as I lost. I lost about $100,000 to make the switch. during the first 6 months. But brokers are you got to be really tender, because if you tell them that their brokerage sucks, they're not going to join either. So you have to play to their ego and all that stuff. So it's not difficult. None of this is difficult. So what else? We got 7 minutes. What else? What other questions?
Any other lead gen? I mean, Mitch has done a lot of different things, and I love that that a lot of them are outside of the box and not just your average things. So I think there was a question. Did we answer it? Is it still advisable to do unadvertised open houses while everyone is coming from online and off apps and so forth? Did we answer that?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Sorry.
They'll do.
Okay.
Let me do this. Let me give, while we're waiting for another question. And I know I answer so many questions when I'm talking that there's never any questions. Let me give you the hierarchy of an internet lead, of the hierarchy of all leads, rather, not just internet leads. Because a lot of people spend a lot of time and effort on Facebook leads, and it's really, for most people, a waste of time. So here's a hierarchy of lead. Facebook leads are the cheapest lead you can buy. The average conversion is 1 out of 300. I mean, you got to reach out to 300 people before you get one person to buy. By the way, these are averages, right? There's going to be somebody that's killing it out there, right? Like I said earlier, that's why they're using that as the poster child. I think YLopo is one of those companies that does that. Well, we have these people doing it, right? Nothing wrong with YLopo, by the way, just that's what they do. So Facebook leads are 1 out of 300. Pay-per-click leads, Google AdWords. So the reason why pay-per-click leads are so bad, not Facebook leads, is because nobody's searching for them. They just happen to scrolling and see a shiny object. And they go, oh, look at the shiny object. They're not buying a house. Now, some people say, well, I just want to build my database. That's acceptable. I just choose not. I think it's a waste of a lot of time. There's 2 different types of marketing. There's direct marketing, where you get direct response and you can get sales from that. And then there's brand marketing, which to me, that Facebook stuff is more brand marketing. Pay-per-click leads on Google AdWords is 1 out of 100. Now, the reason why I'm known as the godfather of internet lead conversion, we were 6%. We were 6 out of 100. So no, I've still not met anybody that's done that good on Google AdWords. Average is 0.75, actually, not really 1, but I use when it's easier. Realtor.com and Zillow leads averages 3%. My groups that I coach and trade on that stuff do about 10 to 15%, but the average is 3%. And then open house leads, I don't have a number for you. Those are the next best leads. And then personal referrals. So that's the hierarchy of leads. So it's important when you're looking at generating leads, how do you want to do that, right? What's the next question I see there? I meet with small business owners to see where there is a need for a realtor. Yep, that's great. And by the way, do videos with those people and put them on your social media page. Makes you an expert. That's how Kyle Whistle did so well in San Diego. He went around interviewing restaurants and stores and all that stuff. That made him big in San Diego. What's a good message for Google Ads? It's really just about, find your home. But I like to preface that. So when we started getting really serious about our AdWords spends, we spent a lot of money on AdWords back then, $10,000 to $20,000 a month. Is I got a little more concise, meaning, if you're looking for your 500, I didn't want to generate low end leads. So our marketing was more toward, at that time the average price was $250. So we'd be saying homes for $250,000 to $500,000, search for your home for 200, that way. But the nice thing about Google AdWords is they're searching for you. They're searching for Melbourne homes, Melbourne real estate, right? What else? I talked a lot.
I think that I came on 10 minutes late and I have 3 pages of notes. So I hope everybody else does. Because the reality is that we make this business really hard. You just choose 1 or 2 things and just go at it like crazy, right?
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be all of these high tech complex things. We're talking about sitting in Starbucks, grocery stores, interviewing restaurants. I mean, we're talking about just things that you could go do in your daily life that really doesn't take a lot of technical aptitude here. This is just you being yourself and being willing to strike up conversations, wearing your EXP gear. You know what I mean? Like really simple things like that. And I think that we just try to overcomplicate. And that's, because we hear all of these ideas out there and then we get overwhelmed. But if we would just hone in and get consistent on something that we can do, it's going to be successful. One thing I wanted to add to what Mitch was saying, because we were asking about Google AdWords and so forth. If you do use your KV Core, there is a way that you can just go in and you can create these very simple custom pages, like landing pages, as many unlimited in your KV Core website. Doesn't cost you anything. It's included. And you can dial in, because it was like Mitch was talking about, just getting specific for Google searches. It's townhouses in Melbourne. I mean, it's like very specific things. Well, you create those specific things in landing pages as a subset of your website. And you can actually buy the domain townhousesinmelbourne.com or .co, or honestly, it doesn't matter because it's still going to show up. I talked to an expert about this, and you point these domains. And by the way, then you can go ahead and reuse that content in different areas, even on your Google My Business. But it's very simple stuff to do. And if you did 10 of those, you would be able to just kind of climb up in the ranks on Google for people searching for specific things. When people search, they don't just search houses for sale in Florida, right? They search condos on the water for sale in Fort Myers. Yeah, in Naples. Like, they're very specific. So you have to get very specific in your domain names if you can, as well as your landing pages and your website, because that's how you're gonna for free or for very little money, be able to get in the searches and get organic leads. And there are people that are doing it. If you go to my YouTube, just type my name. We did have somebody come in and talk about how you can create these custom pages in your KV Core pretty simply. And she did a really simple rendition of this for us. And it's saved as a past training that we did here in EXP Family Tree for you guys.
Got it. Okay,
Mitch,
thank you.
Mitch, as always, it's awesome to have you. Thanks for making time between your bonbons and your golf and your guitar playing. We greatly appreciate you. We hope we'll have you back, I'm sure, sometime here in EXP Family Tree as well. We'll keep in touch because we really appreciate you. And we had a lot of people watching live, so thanks to you guys as well. And thanks to you guys that joined here in Zoom. We appreciate your interaction. I know Mitch enjoys it when he can get people to interact with what he's sharing. So thanks to you guys for everything.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
See you soon.
See you guys.
Thank you.